Hey everybody, welcome back. Okay, so from where we left off, I think we left off on episode 6. We went through what happened on episode 6. Um, so obviously on to episode 7. If you missed it, we are talking about the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated. Ooh, give me a sec. Yeah, the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. It's a mouthful. But as long as the title
Podcast
is,
time!
then there's Snow. As long as the
I
title
already.
is, it's only 12 episodes long. The first season is only 12 episodes long, anyways. Still waiting on word to see if and when we're gonna get a season 2. But for now, nothing. So we're just on season 1 right now. So we left off on episode 7, which is Life of Falsehoods. Snow, do you remember what that one has? Because I do.
You can start it off. I'm just getting caught up. I'm actually looking up to see when more seasons would come out.
It's probably not even been announced yet. Um, especially since it just ended last year. We're probably not going to
That's
get
fair.
anything until next year. And if it is next year, it's not going to be until, annoyingly enough, it's not going to be until fall. If it is next year.
Um,
So Life of Falsehood is, let's see. So Luke continues his life as Ili Balor. He comes up with the idea of opening a cosmetic shop in Milto in order to both increase the profits for the Balor family and fund the assassination duties that he's
how's
got.
sorry, February 2022.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, that's when it's expected. So it's not for sure, but that's when
Oh,
it's
okay.
like
So
sometime around February 2022.
let's hope they don't push it back even further then.
Yeah, so it's probably farther since it was already past February 2022, right? So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully it'll be this February. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
it's a
because
little,
the last season, the last episode came out on December 22nd of last year. So almost an exact year to the date. So
yeah,
we
so
actually
I'm
watched it in a really nice time.
yeah, sorry, proceed. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Thank you. So he brings up a cosmetics idea to sell cosmetics for women, because in this world, although they do have cosmetics like makeup and shit, sorry, makeup, etc., they don't have anything like moisturizers or beauty creams or anything like that. So he comes up with the idea, since he has all the expertise and knowledge from his past life, he is able to bring that over to this life. So
Hmm.
go on, Snow.
Oh, we're passing the baton? Okay. So more or less, since he does that, he then inquires spies trying to break into the business of the fact that they want to steal the recipe. Right? The moisturized recipe because it is making that much money. But nobody else can get the moisturizer recipe because half of the recipe is made from medication from his spy family, right? So it's a very secret oh, what's it called? Recipe that nobody else can have other than the spy family that he is originally born in.
Well, it's not. Well, yes and no. Yes, because it's grown primarily by his family. No, because it's not a specific. It's not a secret recipe per se. It's more of a
But it's
secret
like the
ingredient.
medication. Yeah, like it's like an ingredient of the medicine that he uses,
Right,
right?
because
That what
in yeah, yeah, because in order for the oil and the water to bond, since normally they don't, they separate and they repel each other. They need lecithin, which is it's a real thing. It comes from soybeans, which is something that he actually mentions that it comes from soybeans, and they have a soybean farm. Uh, sorry about that. They do have a soybean farm where he lives with his family. So yeah, she is right
So
in that it's nobody else can get it. So yeah.
Since Luke did half the recipe where it's easy ingredients, but also half of it where nobody can understand how to get that, like the actual moisturizer to work together, it's very successful, right? Because spies, even though they can infiltrate, they can't actually find out any information to actually make the product. So then that even causes success, pardon me, to build more, right? And then Luke also temporarily, while he's in, what town is he in right now?
Milto, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
Miltu?
Miltu. Since Luke is in Miltu, he actually still visits Dia, Dia, Dia. Sorry, my brain's trying to remember these names. He still visits Dia once a month, right? And then his two servants, uh, names, Tart and Maha,
Uh huh.
are
Hey,
left
you remember?
alone.
Congratulations.
I'm like trying to remember as I'm like speaking
Well,
because
I mean,
it's been a
especially because
minute.
like it's been like 3 days since you watched it.
Yeah, it's like, and I watched it in such a rush too.
Not only that, but like
Um,
you watched it overnight, so your brain was probably half off.
um, but Tart and Maha have a full day to themselves, do whatever they want. So they have bonding together as Luke visits Dia, and then as he visits Dia in episode 7, Luke describes the magic spells for Dia so she's able to use them, right? Rewrites them so she understands them and can use them.
Yeah, which
Anything
is
else?
actually pretty cool because the one that she comes up with is uh what is it? Reverse gravity.
Yes,
Yeah, reverse
that is
gravity.
correct. And then that helps him later on in the further episodes,
It does. Oh, in the best way possible too. Which also
right?
it doesn't make any sense to me, and we'll get to that. Um,
Do you I'm going to start with 8?
well, no, there's something very important that happens at episode 7, though. And it's important and yet annoyingly stupid. Um, the guys will know exactly what I'm talking about, but Maha and Tart end up sleeping with him one night. Not in that way,
Actually,
just
oh,
yeah.
okay. Pause. We haven't actually discussed this. So I will let you continue this exact topic.
Okay, go
But
for it.
so Luke has developed a relationship with Tart, going back to the beginning of when Tart was first introduced in episode 2 or 3. Um, Whenever she feels alone, she's allowed to sleep in the same bed as Luke, like as in company, not like anything sexual, but
Yeah, no,
like
no,
a
that well,
cuddling
that's
partner.
yeah.
So she does it throughout the whole entire season until now. When Maha is introduced into the episodes as well, she does the same thing as Tart. So whenever instead of it just being Tart solo, they do it together, right? They're like, "Oh, we feel lonely. Can we sleep in the same bed?" Okay.
How
So now
convenient
that
is
we've
that, huh?
established that, but Luke has no intimate feelings towards the two girls,
Well, I mean, in his
right?
previous life, he wasn't really allowed to do it, to feel anything.
Yeah,
He's
so
just,
he's there like he's solely like literally lays straight as a log and just like kind of like okay. And then they're obviously fawning over him because they have those romantic feelings towards him, but he doesn't. Okay.
yeah. And
Chester, you may proceed with episode 7.
thank you. Well, I mean,
You're
now
welcome.
to kind of further explain from there, I mean, he can't really understand those feelings because when he was working for the organization, he was solely just as an assassin. He didn't get married, he didn't pursue a relationship, he wasn't happy, angry, sad.
Bro, he's sleeping in the bed with two ladies that have big boobs.
I know, and he does
He's okay.
nothing. That's why.
Well,
Yeah,
I think it's just because he still has that assassin mentality where he can't have those close relationships.
true. it's like he's slowly trying to break that, but up until now he hasn't.
Yeah. Are you gonna finish what happens on episode 7?
Yes. So in
Okay.
episode 7, at the very end of episode 7, it's very
Mhm.
important because it kind of marks his crossing into adulthood.
Sorry. I'm gonna mute myself. Go ahead.
No, no,
You
don't use
giggle.
it. It's fine. So it does. So it's important because it symbolizes both. Firstly, he's growing up, and it's kind of making,
Why are
or
you being
it
so mature about this?
it's showing us the audience that he's growing up.
Okay, so
He's
he wakes up with
crossed
a
into
boner.
no. See,
Yes.
you
He
misunderstood
wakes
that.
up.
No, you misunderstood that entirely.
He is
No, he
sleeping with
didn't.
Maha
No,
and
no.
Tart in the room, okay? As he was portraying, as I already said. And then he wakes up into adulthood as his junk starts to work.
No, not like that.
Yeah!
No, not like that. And okay, so Marcus start his crossing into adulthood, but not in that way. It happens because he wakes up and he has had a wet dream.
The
If you,
thing.
if you,
Okay.
yeah, it's a
Sorry.
thing. It's a thing. I,
Oh,
I,
that's why they went, what's that smell, right? So Tart and
yes,
Maha started sniffing him and be like, what's that smell, right? And then
mm-hmm,
he like panics and like is all flustered.
yeah, yeah, because he had a wet dream, not because he popped a boner in the middle of the no, but because he had a wet dream. And for those
Okay,
of you that didn't go through puberty as a male, as a biological male, I don't mean to offend, um, then
right.
you obviously don't know the frustration like waking up and like, oh man, I pissed the bed. It's not. Or either that, it's like, oh, I sweat very, very profusely overnight. It's not that. So yeah, I mean, for it to happen is bad enough. For it to happen with two girls, I can understand the embarrassment, and it's actually
Okay.
pretty hilarious when you in the sense of the anime. But yeah, that's very important because a it shows us that yes, he's growing up. He's into puberty now. Uh, Two, he's crossing into adulthood because at that time, 14 years old marks the start of adulthood. Like literal, you turn 14, you are now officially an adult. Much like
Mhm.
in many parts of the world, you turn 18, you're an adult. In this story, in this world, you turn 14, you become an adult. So, symbolic in more ways than one.
Okay.
And
So,
it also shows us that he gets like flustered because
hey.
anyways, yeah. Go on, Sam. I cut you off, I'm sorry.
You went in a circle. Sorry.
I kinda had to because you were, it was a boner. It was a
What?
boner. It was a boner.
Anyway, episode 8 was Luth finally decided to leave the business town that he was in and go back to his hometown and continue his training as an assassin, right? So he leaves Maha in that town to run the moisturizer business and build and expand the empire, right? That is potentially growing in that region, right? So more connections to the business, more intel, essentially, right? But Luth, pardon me, also promises to visit Maha frequently, right? Because she'll miss him dearly. Tart is obviously going with Luth, right? As they're on their way home, they are attacked by wolves, but Tart easily kills them, right? So she wants to show off her skills to her master, essentially, right? Which is Luth, right? So she easily kills him. He's very impressed with that. As they make it home safely, they suspect the hero is finally appearing soon, right?
Mhm,
They say hi to the parents and all that, but then Luth is summoned by his dad to his father's study, right? And what happens is dad actually gives him a choice of the way he wants to live. which Luth has never had since he was a kid, right? Because he's still like 12 years old, right? He's never had that choice to either live an assassin life or a merchant life, which is what the
Right.
dad gave,
Well,
right?
originally because when he was a kid, he was only training to be an assassin. But
Yeah, he was.
now that he's got 2 years under his belt as a merchant and as a very successful merchant, of course they're gonna give him a choice. I
Yeah,
think.
but it's
I don't know.
also like the dad always gave him a choice, right? Which is what Luke never had, though. Luke never had it,
Well, I
right? So
mean,
like the
I think
dad
the
gives
choice is still
him.
there for him, like the whole you can assassinate people or you could choose not to assassinate, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna not be an assassin. Basically,
That's true.
what he was telling him before, the choices that was he was giving him was you can either choose to assassinate them or you can use your own reasoning and choose not to assassinate them for whatever reason. Maybe it was a wrong
Hmm.
maybe you think it's a wrong assassination assignment. Maybe you don't.
Accusal or something,
Right,
right?
but
So
nothing this grand of a choice.
yeah, that's fair. But Lou still chooses to be an assassin, even though his dad gave him the choice, right? Because father wanted to give him the choice because it's like, hey, it's too late for me to do anything with my life now. I have to be an assassin. You still have a choice to have a peaceful, successful life as a merchant or to live the life as an assassin. But Luke chooses to remain the current lifestyle because he
Not
want
because
has
he really loves to be an assassin, though,
no, but
but
it's because he fell in love with Dia,
right.
right? And
So
he will not be able to marry her if he pursues a merchant lifestyle, right?
right because since she's part of nobility, he needs to be nobility to be able to marry her as well. If she says yes, of
Exactly.
course. Which I guess
So
in
then
this world the women are allowed to choose
yeah,
because Middle Ages, this world.
within reason, they have to be like kind of from the same royalty, right? If not, they're not allowed to choose.
Right, like they could marry into what they already are, but not, or I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the same shit, different asshole.
So then, more or less, what happens is that the father accepts his son's choice, and then his father gives him his first target to be assassinated, right? And then throughout the beginning or the end of episode 8, then that is when he notifies Tart that they have to like do information, and he also contacts Maha to see if this person that they need to assassinate is actually worth assassinating, right? I think we're on episode 9 now.
I think you actually are right. So
Yeah, because
in
I think that was like
episode
pretty much
9,
8.
yeah, yeah, I think that's the entire episode 8 summed up. Um, Episode 9. So we actually find out who Lou's target is.
Mhm,
Luke's first target as a fully trained assassin is somebody named Count Asba Venkor or Venkour. He ends up
mhm,
being an aristocrat who's been selling military secrets to neighboring kingdoms in exchange for something called Vizian or Vizane, which turns out to be a drug that he distributes throughout the kingdom. Um, and much like episode 6, it gets a little bit heavy on this one because he goes into the town and he immediately sees a little girl that's trying to sell them something. I think it's what is it? Flowers?
jam. No,
Jam.
no, no, no. It was jam. So the little girl was in the middle of the town. So they visited the town first as they're waiting on Maha's information, right? He
Hmm.
obviously Luth contacted Maha for information because she has the network information. So Tart and Luth obviously go to the town to seek it out or whatever. And then the little girl is selling jam, and it's in like an alley that has no other people in it, and they're like very like there's something's wrong here, right? This doesn't make sense. So then a whole bunch of thugs show up, and then you can proceed. Sorry.
No, no, you're doing good. So yeah,
A whole bunch of thugs show up. Obviously, Luth breaks the jam,
yeah, that ends up
right?
being
And then
a
yeah,
very
it was
dramatic
like
scene.
So they beat up the thugs easily. Like it's no problem or anything for Tart and Luke to beat them up or anything. But then the little girl is like crying over the jam because her mother is like, she's like, how am I going to pay for my mother's drugs essentially, right? Because the jam was supposed to pay for them,
Dude, I'm
right?
not even
And
joking.
her,
The very first time that I saw that, I'm like, Jesus Christ, the girl's one of the addicts. And then when
well,
she
no,
started
because
saying my mom, I'm like, oh,
so
okay.
Luke and Tart go with the girl and go see the little girl's mother. And then what happens is that the girl's mother is like insane. Like she is going on to the
Well, an
what's the
addict.
word? Well, she's an addict, but withdrawal. That's the word.
There you go.
She's going through major withdrawal. So she obviously tries to attack Luth. Did not work. She pinned to the ground or whatever. Luth uses a medical spell on her to get the body rid of that withdrawal, right? So the body isn't craving it, but her mind is a different story,
Which,
right?
if you've ever
So
gone through withdrawals or withdrawal symptoms, for whatever reason, you do know that even though you know that your body doesn't need anymore, your mind and how it craves it or needs it is something completely different.
yeah, so that's kind of that. They found that information from Maha as well. And then later on, after they leave the town, Luth and Maha re-enter the town as selling the product. Oh, right, they're selling the moisturizer to the wife of the drug dealer.
Hmm.
Okay, so they're doing that, and the reason why they're selling, they also make this very clear in the anime. They're trying to persuade her in selling the moisturizer is because she has the most say over the rich women in town,
Which
right?
makes sense. I mean,
So, and then it also gives him an in because he is pursuing as the merchant right now. He's not pursuing as the assassin, he's pursuing as the merchant. So, which gives him another outlet as an assassination, right? So, nobody's going to think twice of him. So then he gets invited to a party, right? Because obviously the wife of the freaking drug dealer is like amazed by the moisturizer. And then the drug dealer is like, yeah, come to this party. Like, it's happening right tonight, right? And what more or less is then they get invited, they get the intel that they needed. Later on, as the night falls, Tart and Luke simply assassinate the drug dealer, right? And then he tried out his newest creation, which is one of like his sniper guns, which is like a magic spell he used that he created on his own. Um, and then,
yeah, because you got to remember this in this world, there's no such thing as guns. It's all
yeah, there's
swords.
it's all swords, it's all magic. There's so he
Hmm.
creates a gun from his past experience of his life. Clean shot straight to the head because every single night, as the intel said, which he knew and he found out, is that whenever the drug dealer, whatever his name is, every time he goes before bed, he has a glass of wine outside the balcony, right? So then that's the prime spot to shoot him. So that's what Luke did. This is the first time Luke has realized what he's done though, right? Because as he shoots someone, he usually walks away, like in his past life, walked away, didn't think twice about it. This time he sees this man fall and his wife crawling towards him, right? Bleeding as he's dead on the ground and like crying,
Yeah.
right? Like grieving, like the wife is in a grieving reaction, while Luke does nothing to regret his action. Though he says he'll never forget this moment, there's a part of him that's changed, right? He knows what he did is right, but it's also wrong because he took like a loving husband away from his wife.
Right. Which obviously kind of becomes obvious that she knew absolutely nothing about the whole drug dealing
I think she did
thing.
though, because she did state when Luth was as the merchant portray of himself. When he was selling him the moisturizer, right? He made a comment. I don't remember what it was, but he made a comment and he was like, "Oh, don't look at me now, but like in a couple years ago, I would have never been able to afford these clothes or whatever, right?"
No, I know. Well, I mean, she knew that they were poor beforehand, but from what she had said on that on that scene, on that specific part, is that whatever her husband had done or had invested in had obviously turned a profit. So what
Yeah,
she thought, she more than likely thought he was doing something legit, not something like this. So
yeah.
for all she knows, her husband was just murdered by a bunch of bandits for
Well, there's
trying to
that.
yeah, for trying to stop them smuggling drugs in and distributing them.
Well, this is
Which
also
was
the
the well, that was a cover that the husband had actually uh started out.
mhm. This was also the first assassination that he has performed as a free man rather than feeling as a tool, though.
True.
Right? Because like this time he actually chose to be like to kill this man, even though he knows like the grief that he saw this time, but this time he knows why this man had to die. Before he never knew that, right?
Yeah, before it was more just like an assignment. He went out, did it, done, out. This one, it's like it was an assignment. He went out, did a little bit of recon, um, found out if it was true or not. He figured out that it was true, and then decided, okay, yeah, he can't be around anymore. So,
Um,
yeah, very true.
mhm. Do you want to start off with episode 10?
Episode 10, yes. So episode 10 comes up as First of Dates. So on this one, Lou and Tart spend a full month, not a couple weeks or a couple days, an entire month on a deserted island as part of their assassin training. And on returning to the mainland, Maha gives them information about a divine treasure, a tool that comes out beyond any power that very few people can wield or even end up possessing. Turns out that this tool can't actually be made by human hands, so they call it a divine tool or a divine weapon, I think it is.
Mhm.
Um, but Lu has been trying to purchase this for some time. It's a divine treasure, sorry, they call it. It's a magical spear called Gaybold, which it actually is, and it's something that actually did exist. It's actually called as Gaybold Gungnir's one iteration of it. Um, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Um, but the Gaybold, it's Irish, so.
Mhm.
Mhm. Anyway, it's Gaybold. It's in possession of somebody named Setanta McNess, and he's a renowned warrior suspected to become the legendary hero. So Lou also discovers that the V-Cone, or yeah, V-Cone region has been involved in a war, and he rushes to Dia's house, offering her a way to escape if a war ever reached her house, her castle, doorstep.
Wait, pause, 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 pause.
Yeah,
Luke doesn't know this though. He later finds out that in the middle of the episode. Remember? So he finds, side note, podcast. Remember that the training island, okay? You're gonna need that for later episodes.
yeah, but this is all
Um,
see just episode 10 on its own.
yeah, but also Luke knows that they're in war right now, but he rushes to their side, but also he doesn't realize how much the war is actually surrounding around her, like episode 10 portrays it to say.
Yeah, episode 10 comes up as more of a date kind of thing. Well, I mean, it's in the name, but yeah, more than anything, it just comes up as a, oh, hey, I just came to visit you. Let's go on a date. And
Yeah,
they go on
so
a date.
Loof comes back from the island, gets the information from Maha on the carousel, and then does rush to Deanne, right? Because he's like, "Oh, you're in the middle of the war," and then he realizes it's like, "Oh, it's so calm. Like, what do you mean you're in the middle of the war, right?" And Deanne plays it off like Dia, sorry, not Deanne. Dia plays it off like, "Oh,
Yeah,
it's no big deal or
the
anything."
she ends up changing her name to Diane, whatever.
Sorry.
Just messing.
Dia
Yeah.
like is just like, oh, we have like, and she like makes us like a reasonable excuse of why the war is not affecting her in the exact kingdom she's in. So then they go on this date, as Chester explained, right? And they dress up and like change their hair color because they're silver, right? Their hair color is naturally silver, so it's just
Yeah,
like it's
that's
a
a
very
way
easy
to.
character
Yeah.
to like portray. So they change it to brown and then they go through the town and all that. And Luke's like, oh, are you supposed to be out of town? Like in town right now? Like it's pretty dangerous, right? She's like, oh no, since you're with me, it's fine. But also Luke noticed the blood thirst of everyone around them, right? Because and then Dia plays it off again, right? Because he's like, why is everyone here so like bloodthirsty? Right? And Dia's like, oh, since the war is going on, we have a lot of refugees from the war coming.
Which
In
actually,
reality,
that's a really good way to shrug it
it
off too.
is, but in reality, later on, we find out it's
But
because those are actually soldiers.
yeah. Well, I mean, refugees can end up being soldiers though. So she plays it off as a, well, we've got a lot of soldiers on standby, and we've got a lot of refugees in town. So people that are running away or people that are like in the reserves, of course, are gonna have some bloodlust in them.
Mhm. So they go on a date. They help a little boy find their mom, and it
Which
was
I
kind of
think that
cute.
is the worst trope ever.
I
I swear
I
to God.
know it
They
was
have
just
that trope in there
leave it
specifically
alone.
for snow.
Can we talk about the hot springs though? Like that was kind of well. Okay, so what happened in the hot springs is that Dia
Snow's
booked a hot
favorite
springs.
part.
Okay. Dia booked a hot springs solely for them. Okay. This is like a huge cave hot springs where all genders go together. Okay. Obviously, they undress together and all that. And Luke's like really stunned at first. He's like, oh, are we sure we're supposed to do this? Right. And he's like all like flustered in that. So then they go in and then they're literally just chilling, like butt ass naked together in a
I, I
romantic way,
I just
kissing.
want to
Like,
point out
I don't
I was waiting
understand.
for that comment. I was
I
waiting
don't
for my
I don't
breath was being held throughout that entire
understand
thing. I
how
have been
that
waiting
is the
for that
thing,
butt ass
okay?
naked comment.
Like,
Thank
he
you.
is in love with her, okay? Hold up. Okay, we're going sidetrack for a second. We're pointing out facts now. We're into this deep enough. Okay,
Okay,
so
not only this, but
no,
she's
no, no, no,
two
no, no.
years older than he is.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Oh, okay, actually it does because they're
Oh,
cousins.
oh, yeah. Why doesn't it matter?
Okay, anyway, so Luf is in love with Dia. Okay, as he's told his father this, okay, Dia obviously has romantic feelings towards Luf if you watch the anime.
I don't know. I think she's conflicted.
These two fuckers, okay,
Go ahead.
she gets nude completely, like, no remorse or any concern in front of him, okay, and he's all flustered. He's like, oh, wait, what the fuck, right? So then she's like, come on, you scaredy cat, right? So obviously he'll get nude. They go into the hot springs together. And then this like scene happens where it's like they get really romantic, but then it's just like a kiss. And it's very conflicting. Like in fair for the age, it's understandable, but for the way that their characters are developed, it's not normal. Okay? And the way that they put two fucking like adolescent teenagers in a hot spring together solo is not
Legally
normal.
adults in this world, but yes,
Oh
absolutely. I
no.
completely agree with you on that one.
Oh, it's like it just okay, you go from like understanding that they're like 12 years old and that with like this insane character and it's like this like anime will push your mind to be like that's not right. Like this is not right. Like this is something's wrong here. Right? And it's like if it was like I don't know, like if they're 18 or 19 or 20,
Wait,
yeah,
hang
that
on.
would make fucking sense.
Snow. Wait, how old were you when you got with your now fiance?
I was older than them, I can tell you that for sure.
You were her age, let's be honest.
No, I was not.
How old was she? If he's 14, she's 2 years older than he is.
Really? We're really making this about me right now?
No, I'm joking. I'm just busting your balls.
I'm literally gonna fucking throw something at you, and I'm gonna send it all the way down to your way, man. Anyway, okay, going forward is that they just casually kiss, and that's the end of that. And then Loof just leaves, right, thinking everything's all fine and dandy, right? And then Dion's like, so then Loof's like, oh, I'll see you next month, right? And Dion's like, Oh,
Yeah, sure,
oh yeah,
whatever.
I'll see you next
LOL,
minute, right?
JK.
And then she goes like secretly, like as all the soldiers like reveal like their true
No,
outfits
no,
from their
not
like
even that. No, 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 no,
citizens.
not
She
even
goes
that.
like, "I'm
She
never
goes,
gonna see you again."
no, it's not even just completely just like that. She just goes, okay, you guys, you could drop the act. He's gone.
Yeah, sorry,
And
you're
then
right.
out of nowhere, these fucking villagers all throw away their clothes, and underneath, they're wearing armor.
Hmm.
Fucking armor. And I'm not even joking. These guys like regular clothes, right? Clothes like t-shirts, sweatpants. They throw those off, and in a split second, they're not old women. They're freaking knights. I don't know how that works, but okay. Another thing that I will say up until this point that I haven't said is that the CG in this entire goddamn anime is terrible. I'm not even joking. Okay, it pisses me off that they use CG in anime now because oh my god, it's
What is
terrible. It's
CG?
computer graphics.
Okay.
So you know like when those soldiers are all there and how they move really weird and they look like they're
Mm,
3D
I didn't really pay attention to that.
or or the horses how
Oh, I saw a couple scenes like that where it was
y-
really obvious.
and it's like
Not,
that
yeah.
that type of animation shouldn't exist with this type of animation. It's just everywhere now and it's terrible. No matter how
Anyway,
no matter how much money they sink into these anime, doesn't matter what, doesn't matter how much, it is crap, it doesn't belong, it is terrible. Please, for the love of God, change that.
episode
Anyways,
11.
episode 11. Let's go straight into
All
episode.
right, so
The episode 11 name choice of betrayal. All right, so episode 11 starts out. Luke's dad, Kian, or Kian, sorry, he explains that it was Dia's dad who ordered the assassination of his own daughter as an attempt to stop the civil war currently afflicting the Vikan region.
right, because
That's
Lou
a
comes
huge,
back
yeah. That's
from
it.
visiting Dia. Oh, we forgot to mention this in episode 10,
That's what I was trying to
right?
mention
Where
earlier,
he
but
has to assassinate Dia, but they don't tell him who, right? Until episode 11. They kind of leave you on a cliffhanger.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
proceed.
All right. So they are wanting to assassinate Dia, Lou's cousin girlfriend.
Hmm.
Anyway, the reason for that is for an attempt to stop the civil war that's currently happening in that region. Since the Tohade family has already had the option to reject missions depending on their interests, Luke then realizes that Dia's death will ultimately fail to stop the war and deduces that he can use his mission, or this mission, to save Dia. This is actually where we find out that Kian um, had had the same exact thing happen to him when he was younger with his now wife.
Which is Luth's mother.
No, no, no way.
I figured they should know that.
I mean, I'm playing it up for them.
Okay. Well, also keep in mind that Dia's father is the one that ordered the assassination on Dia. Okay.
For a good reason,
And
in his
the
eyes.
reason why Dia's father asked Lu's father to do it is because Lu's father is in great debt. Sorry, pardon me. Into Dia's father, if
Yeah,
that makes
so
sense.
they owe each other
Yeah, so like
basically. This entire
Lu's
anime
father
kind
is
of
still in debt
yeah,
to Dia's
this
father.
entire
So
anime kind of falls into everybody owes everybody something.
yeah, but also Chin, is that his name? Chian?
Tian, Kian.
Kian, is realizes Luth's feelings towards Dia, so he gives him the option. He's like, you can either go assassinate her, or I can go assassinate her. And then
But
that's
no,
when
no,
Luth
but
realized that he can save her without her dying, right?
he's
And he wants to save her because he realizes that there's no point of killing her because it won't stop anything.
true, but the way that he gave Lou this kind of ultimatum, it's kind of a Well, I mean, you could go save him, say you can go do it because you know you've got all this mana, or I can go do it. But if I go do it, it's gonna take me like 4 extra days to get there because I'm old. I don't have all the mana in the world,
Well, he was
and
also making excuses though,
well,
right?
that's
Like
why.
he
Well, that's why he's not gonna be there in time. He's just old. He's gonna be tired when he gets there. His leg is gonna be gamey. You know, he's not gonna be able to go up to the castle and knock on the front door because maybe he's gonna sprain a finger. You know, it's just like all these really weird random excuses that come up.
fair. But then
So,
also, so sorry, go ahead. I interrupted.
no, you're good. I was just it's the illusion of choice in this one. So he's giving him two choices with one of them being the obvious choice and the other one just being a throwaway choice where it's like I know you're not going to pick it. I don't want you to pick it. So just let's go with the obvious one. So, yeah.
Mhm. So as they leave, Tart acknowledges Luke's feelings towards Dia and then goes, "Okay, let me help you get there."
Oh,
Right? And
Tart's a
then
fucking tank on this one, I swear.
so Tart wants to help Luke get there and help with the battle, right? Because they're going into a battlefield. But Luke's like, "No, you're only gonna slow me down. You can't run as fast as I can, and you won't get there in time." She's like, "No, watch me," more or less, right? So she uses her magical power to create this shield. Okay. And while she creates this shield, is that she is running straight forward into the wind. So as the shield is blocking them, it creates a lot of like magic. Sorry, it causes a lot of magic to be used to even keep the shield from going, but it also prevents the wind. So essentially, she's like piggybacking him while he's running, right? Because he has no wind speed or no wind resistance.
No
So
one
he can get
resists,
there like
yeah.
twice as fast, right? But then it also starts raining, which causes more wind resistance plus the rain, right? So it's even harder on her. So she gets him like over like just halfway, right? And then that causes like the amount of time for him to get there to decrease immensely, right? So since she piggybacked him more or less like over pretty much halfway, now since he barely used any energy, when he gets there, he has so much more energy to actually use, right? Because it's the ways that he has to go, right? And
Sure.
they go by foot because at this time they don't have cars. They have horse carriages, but the carriages don't go as fast as when they run, right? Because the running speed is insane on this anime,
Okay, on this
right?
one, real quick, I was thinking this the entire time that that was happening, and I wasn't sure if I was the only one that was going to be thinking that, or if you were going to be kind of wondering about it as well. But Luke can fly.
Yeah, he
Why
uses
didn't he?
gravity
Why did he not fly there?
because it uses the magical power, and they only have so much.
No, no. Tart only has so much. He's got unlimited.
No, yeah, but the thing is, though, remember the okay, I spoiler. Remember the cannon that he uses in episode 12 and the amount of times he can fire it? He's aware of how much he can use, but if he uses it in big amounts, right? Because remember the missile? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I remember the missile. Don't. Oh, okay,
He,
we've got one more, but let's go
okay.
ahead and put
So
this one
do
and the last one
you
together. We,
want me to continue on reasons why he couldn't fly, or are we just going to move past this and we'll come back to
all right, so just because, and okay, no, no, no.
it?
So just because this one and the last one, episode 12, kind of bleed in together, so I was kind of thinking, why don't we just mash them together and talk about them
All
both at the
right.
same time?
Let me sit up. Okay. So he gets there. This is a rundown, and Chester can fill in the spot after.
Ooh, okay, I
So
like that. Go for it.
Tart piggybacks him to Dia's castle, right? So ways away. Tart obviously makes it over halfway there, and then Luth is very, very impressed by her, right? He's like amazed by how far she's come, and like he was pretty much piggybacked over halfway. Okay, so
So
then
impressed
while
that
he gets to
he
the
almost
castle,
kisses her
bruh,
on the forehead.
he gets yeah, that's actually fair. That was yeah, kind of like a romantic scene there. Anyway, but you would have to see the anime to actually like see it. We're not
Appreciate it.
spoiling that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't we can't even describe it. We have to be like an appreciative like watching scene. So Luke gets there to Dia's castle, right? And then he realizes how many enemy soldiers are there, and the soldiers protecting Dion are in obviously the fortress. So then he
Mhm.
tries to find a best way to get to Dia, as well as knock out all the enemy soldiers. Right. So Luth is very stealthy. He takes out a couple one by one, and then they start freaking out and start killing each other, etc. There was like a mini war, and then Dia's soldiers go in. They attack the enemy soldiers while they're all disorientated. Right. Luth breaks into the castle with an extra body. Right. And then he had this great plan. I'm going really fast here, guys. I'm
You
sorry.
really are.
Chester's
You're
gonna.
skipping
I
like
know. I
50,000
know, but this
things.
is what I mean. I'm getting to the good part. I'm excited. So Luth gets like get the extra body, and then he sneaks in the castle,
And I'm gonna stop her
meets
there. Okay,
Dion
so
and the
no,
father.
I'm gonna
And what
stop her there. I
happens
have to
is,
stop her there because she's gonna ruin everything. I'm not gonna be able to
hold
fill in enough.
on.
I'm not gonna be able to fill in enough without like, and then everything's ruined. Okay, so firstly, he gets to VCon, right? Everything's just fucked.
Mhm.
Uh,
I'm
Yeah,
bored now.
every. Of course you are.
I got excited. I was ready to tell him the good stuff.
No, God no. Okay, so he
Oh
gets there,
shit.
everything is fucked. So he pulls out his gun, and he starts shooting off magic users, which are essentially
Mhm.
the squadron leaders. Anyways, after this, which this is something that Snow left off entirely, but if you remember back from episode 2, 3, uh, there are things called Farstones. So Luke actually takes some of those. He pulls out a bow, or sorry, he creates a bow.
Okay, they're like the bombs
Yeah,
that we
you
talked about,
left
like
this
that
off.
he
You
puts
you
enough
you did leave
magic
this off
into
though.
them. I
He
actually kind of forgot that part though.
exactly. So he pulls
That's
out
why I
he
said
pulls
you'd
out
fill
a
in.
he pulls out a bow and arrow set. He ties some of the far stones that are charged up with his mana into into an arrow. He charges it up firstly with fire so that um, there's going to be more of an explosion, uh, and earth, I think it is, so that there's more shrapnel when it hits. So he shoots it off. They land. Obviously, it's like a freaking bomb, and he ends up killing a
Many.
good chunk of people.
And then that's when Dia's army comes in to
Yeah.
infiltrate because the
While
enemy is weakened.
while this is all happening, Dia is actually in her tower picking off soldiers with her own gun,
Hmm.
which is actually pretty cool too, kind of thing, because she can make guns and ammo as well. So with enough training that she got with Lou all those years ago, she's got a crack shot, I guess. So she's able to pick off a couple people. Uh, Dia's army starts charging out, and fighting starts happening. Okay, moving on to episode 12 now. Go ahead, Snow.
Oh, is it my turn? Okay.
Yes, yes
So,
it is.
putting the phone down, Luke
She
breaks
really,
into the
you
cast.
you jerk, you
I did.
absolute dick.
I did. I was on Snapchat going to realtors.
I, I mm, go ahead. I don't feel hurt at all.
So mad. So mad. In Pear podcast, he brought up some really good points that I just completely skipped because I was super excited to tell you about episode 12. So as I left off, Luke brings the body with him because it's a female body that he like destroyed with one of the bombs,
He didn't
right? But it's
destroy.
still
He
like
killed her.
it's still intact though, right? It was just
Then
like
it's not
the
destroyed, is it?
you're just hurt. Okay, shush.
Listen, if a body's destroyed, then there's no body there.
Anyway, so obviously the person's dead, but the body's still intact, right? So Luke sneaks into the castle, brings the body with him. breaks in to the chamber that's has a magic lock on it, where Dia and Dia's father are there, right? So Dia is ready to die. Dia's father is like, no, not yet, more or less, right? He's like, wait, if you die right now, this won't explain anything. So Luth came up with a plan where they will get the soldiers' attention and burn the castle down with the body inside it as not Luth's father, Dia's father escapes, and Luth and Dia escape in a back way, like and as an assassin way where nobody will see them, right? And when they find the body, that's Dia's body, and they'll portray her as dead, so then the war will be over, right?
Essentially like a Romeo and Juliet type of plan.
Yeah, essentially, like, and then Dia will happen of new identity and all that too, right? And it was a great plan until the portray hero, the one that has the what is the object called again?
The Gable,
Yeah,
a spear.
the spear, right? The spear that is Luke that wanted, right? Shows up and
Which
like
this ends up
blasts the
being
castle.
so overpowered.
It
Which I
is
mean, it
insane.
yeah, it's understandable because he's supposed to. It's supposed to make you think that he's a hero, but it isn't. So go ahead, so I cut you off.
So you're good. So they dodge the first attack barely, right? They make it out. Then Luth pulls out his cannon that he only used in episode 2
He pulls out his
when
cannon.
he created the episode 3, pardon me, episode 3, where he was creating new spells with Dia at the very beginning, right? The cannon is the most powerful spell in the beginning that we're shown,
By the way,
right?
him pulling
That
out his
is
cannon is not a euphemism for anything. It's an actual cannon.
it's an actual cannon, like an old school cannon with like the wheels and like yeah. So and he shoots the hero portray. Doesn't do anything. And they're like, "Whoa, this is insane, right?" So the hero attacks again, right? And then Luft goes on the battlefield.
Wait, hang
Before
on.
he
You're
goes
leaving
on the
something out here.
battlefield,
You wait.
hold on.
You're
Wait,
leaving.
wait, pause. Let me fix my mistake.
Okay.
Before he goes on the battlefield, he rediscuss what Dia and Dia's father are gonna do. Okay.
No,
And
no,
then
that's
he
not what you're missing out.
sends
What you're
no
leaving
no
out.
no. He sends this missile.
No, that's not what you're leaving out.
Yeah, what am I missing out then?
This guy has a berserker skill where
Hmm.
this is actually really important because the
Hmm.
berserker skill is activated with anger. This guy being shot with a cannon is the very first time he's ever felt pain or been made to bleed,
He's more or less just pissed off now and he's like really excited to fight and die.
which is a berserker.
Okay. Anyway.
So because of that, his attack, his defense, they go up. His damage resistance goes up. If he shoots him with this cannon again, nothing's gonna happen to him. He's not even gonna bleed again. He's not even gonna take a step back. So that's what you're missing out. That's actually something very important.
Okay.
Go on.
So they notice he's in berserker mode. Dia and Dia's father are talking to Luz. Luz is telling them what to do. As he's telling them what to do, he has this silver thing. This is exactly what it looks like. It's like a cylinder. Okay, not a cylinder, like an oval of a metal. It's like a
It's
circle
more. It
metal
looks more
oval.
like a weird egg.
Okay, a weird egg, right? Like a thin weird egg that he just like randomly just casually like gets rid of. Like he just pulls it out of his like magic all like spells and that and just like shoos it off like it's nobody's business, just casual and all that, okay? He just casually like what and this is very casual, okay? It's like we genuinely you see it and you don't think anything of it. It's one of those things where you genuinely don't really notice anything about it. Then he just casually walks on to the battlefield and he's like down his head and he's talking to this what's it called? Like the potential hero in his berserked mode. Okay.
Hmm.
And he's reasonable. This potential hero is like talking to Luke as Luke is counting down, and Luke wants to keep him talking, right? Because it kills the time from when that casual egg, which we don't know about, is gonna come down on him. Okay. So as he's counting down,
Hmm.
eventually the berserker just like is like, oh, let's fight, right? And he's like, Luth is like impressed by how reasonable this berserker mode is, because usually when they're berserk, they're not reasonable, they can't
Right. Yeah.
communicate, etc. Right?
I
And
mean,
he's
I'd
like,
be.
oh, okay, this must be another card, and they'd be like, oh, this must have been from the goddess, whatever it was called, that summoned him as well, right? Because there's like, he's like,
Yeah.
there's no way that there's like, I have four um cards that are like S rank, A rank,
Skills,
whatever
basically,
skills, right? Four
or
skills that
abilities,
he's able to
whatever.
pick.
Yeah.
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 And then he has four, one berserker and one that perfectly matches to make him still knowledgeable while he's in berserker mode, right? And
Yeah.
also be that powerful and be able to hold that weapon. He's like, oh, okay, you're from that, so that must be what she was talking about. So he's counting down, and then this missile just casually just fucking bops on him like
Yeah.
nobody's fucking business. And it's like this biggest like anime thing in this whole episode. And he just like obviously Luth flies back, right? And then like gets like hit in the head, right? And then this dude is like a crumble of ashes, like just casual. He's like, oh yeah, that wasn't really anything. Like I guess you're killed, right? Like okay, let's walk away, right?
It was
Um
so messed up, dude. It was so messed up.
I don't know how better I could have explained that.
Oh my
Feel
god,
like I did a
no.
pretty good job.
You did.
Like
Especially,
it was
he
very
stalled.
casual. Luth was genuinely being really casual and being really like, "Oh, what's up, man? Like, let's talk for a second. Like,
Yeah,
this is
no.
gonna be an intense
He's
battle, right?
While
Like,
this
even
guy's
though I'm
all
not
like,
gonna fucking
let's
fight with
fight, let's
you.
fight. He goes, okay, fine, but shouldn't we introduce ourselves first? I mean, come on, let's, you know, at least be
We're
decent enough
gentlemen
to,
or whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
like
And then the guy's all like, oh, yeah, no, you're right, you're right. It's a battlefield. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. And it's like, okay, fine. Okay, now let's fight. He's like, wait. Let's set some ground rules first, though. And well, first of all, how am I so sure that like you're gonna keep your promise if I end up dying? You know, if I die, might just level the entire place. He's like, oh yeah, no. You know what? If you die, I'll just take the girl. Whatever. That's all I'll do. I'll take the girl, and then no one can attack the city. No one can attack anything. He
hmm,
goes, and if I die, everything just stops. Everybody will
yeah.
go away, and then peace will be declared. He goes,
So
wait. He goes, well, how can I be so sure when you die the soldiers aren't just gonna storm the kingdom? He goes, and this goes on for the entirety of
like a
the thing.
minute and 20 seconds because he's like
Yeah,
it's only a minute and 20 seconds left, right?
yeah, it was
But
about like 430 seconds or something like that first, and then yeah, she just keeps going down from there.
and he practiced this missile from his human life, right? Because he remembers killing people that developed this like missile in the human world, right? So he interpreted that into the
I think it was
magical
like
world.
the spears of heaven or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But that's also when he practiced it on the island. That's what he was doing on the island, is practicing the missiles and how to target them. So the reason why he kept this dude talking for so long is because the missiles aren't accurate if they're moving, right? They don't they have to be standing in that exact same spot for them to be accurate. So that's why Luth was getting the potential hero to talk for so long, right? But
Yeah.
also at the end, when they won the war or whatever, he took Dia back home, and Dia was portrayed as Luth's younger sister. Even though Dia's older than Luth, it was because she was shorter and she looked much younger, right?
Hmm.
So in the end, they completed the mission, and then I think the cliffhanger was Luth receives word that another hero was appeared and has arrived to the kingdom.
Yeah, I think no, the cliffhanger. You're in the right track. It's not another hero. It's the hero. So I
Oh,
guess
sorry.
the guy that he ended up killing wasn't the hero. He was a prospective hero,
Mhm.
but the actual hero, which comes up. he's a Lord Epona Rhiannon or Rhiannon, something like that. He gets out of the carriage with his teacher or with his master, which that person ends up being somebody that was revived into this world from this world, the same world as the assassin. That's Lou.
Hmm.
Because throughout the entire season, there are episodes where the goddess is actively picking out people that are dying and then reincarnating them. Up until now, up until this guy, the assassin, Lou, she's got nothing but failures, with one other exception, which was a gym teacher. This gym teacher ends up being somebody that will be getting reincarnated to train the hero. So, I don't know. I thought that was a pretty nice uh, kind of circle to close out because she never actually checked up on her
Well,
afterwards.
that's a good point. But also, what we kind of failed to mention throughout the season is that Luth was always very, very close to the citizens in his kingdom.
Hmm.
The citizen in his kingdom always, we genuinely forget to bring this up throughout the whole entire discussion.
I probably wanted
Um,
to, but we ended up forgetting.
we
But
like it's just it wasn't like super important, but it is kind of like overall for like the season two kind of thing. So Luth was always very loved by the people of the kingdom, right? Whenever Luth showed up, when he came back from the town where he was portraying a merchant, they're like, "Oh, we've missed you so much. Like, can you help us? Like, things have been chaotic, right?" And they've always given him so many gifts, as in food. They wanted to pay him with food, right? Like, cook this, right? Because he was a very good cook, right? Even in the merchant town too, he was very, very loved, right? He had that persona around him where people just loved him and wanted to be near him, right? Because he was such like a good like, oh, you're so nice. Can you please help me with this, right? Like your skills are really needed here, right?
yeah, which did we ever find out what that last the C class skill that he got was?
No, we didn't
I
actually. I
have a,
think that was a
I've got a hunch as to what that was.
what is it?
People skills.
Maybe actually, yeah, that would make sense because
Yeah,
actually, so one was karate. One was
martial
his
arts, martial arts.
martial arts. One was his S class skill of the spells. Okay, like he could recreate spells. That's how
No,
he
no,
was able to do that.
his S class was the regeneration.
Okay, well one of them was the recreation of
Hmm.
spells, regeneration, and then there was the mana, no? Oh no, he was just naturally gifted with the mana. So yeah, it
One of
could have
them
been the
was
people.
it's like monstrous growth or like exponential growth or development, something like that.
Healing. Wasn't it
Um,
healing?
I'd have to go back and double
So
check, but
merchants or not merchants, martial arts, uh, spells. There was the healing, and then there was what was the other one?
all right. So one of them was rapid healing,
Mhm.
martial arts,
Mhm.
spells,
Mhm.
spell creation. Sorry, exponential growth, which is
Mm.
the he coupled
Okay, so
that
it's
one with
not
the
people. He was just naturally good with people then.
no, those are four. He had one more.
No, he only had four.
I'm gonna have to double check. Give me a sec.
He only had four. I think it was four and four.
Let's see.
Um, but overall, the anime was really good. Highly suggest you guys to watch it. Um, The only thing that was really odd was the age, right? In reality, it was till he was 18. He had to do that. So it's a very accelerated age gap where he had to, like, oh, okay, I'm this old now. I'm going to take this adult. But it's just like, it wouldn't be recommended for a kid to watch more or less,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
No,
It's
he
just
had
like,
five. He had
he
five.
had five.
He's
Okay,
yeah.
that's
He
fair.
had five. So she says I'll grant you five, and then I'll you can even choose which ones you get.
Ah,
So
I
he
see. Okay.
says Yeah, give me a sec. Going through it, going through it.
Side note, also the goddess that recreated Luth is also checking up on past heroes throughout every episode. So you get a glimpse of like what she's recreated, right? Some would be like a rapper that like there was one that was like a rapper, it'd be like,
Yeah,
"Oh, you're so good at rapping, you make people want to like they do suicide after your raps." And then they get
yeah,
recreated in like the current world where the magic realm and it's worth nothing because the world hasn't developed yet, right? They're still in like the carriages and all
yeah.
that. So it's
He
just
gets
like
beat.
he's
He
like
gets his
they're like,
ass
"What are
beat.
you saying, punk?" And then they're like, "Is something wrong with you, man?" He's like, "Oh no, nothing, nothing, nothing," right? Then there's one of like a photographer. A photographer is
Paparazzi,
like recreate
paparazzi.
yeah, paparazzi is recreated where it's like, oh, they're shamed and then they like the people he paparazzi is like they overdose, right? Once they like get the he gets the pictures of them. So he gets recreated in this realm. He's like,
He
"Oh,
creates
I'm gonna
Gandalf from
retake
his
this
paparazzo
picture of
skills.
like this paparazzi person. This must be the hero." And then he gets run down by a horse. Just casual,
That's
like.
actually pretty funny.
Hey.
That was
Then there's
actually
another
really
one
funny.
where it's like he used to be this really cool like assassin, like swordsman and like a boxer, whatever there was.
Special
And then
ops,
he's
isn't he? Yeah,
yeah,
special
whatever it
ops.
was. And then he's like really fat, right? He got really fat. He's like, "Oh, I'll start being a hero the next day." Like, "Oh no, it's I can start tomorrow. I want to enjoy life," right? So it's just like the difference of like certain characters taking the hero seriously and certain ones not retaking it seriously, if that makes sense. So obviously Luth is taking it very seriously because he wants to have that happiness. He wants to have that freedom that he's never had before, right?
Yeah, I get that.
So,
Sorry, I'm
but
just going through
I
it and
think
see which skills
I don't
he
think
ended
it
up
will
having.
tell us.
It did. Okay, so rapid recovery is S rank, spell
Mhm.
creation is A rank,
Mhm.
limitless growth is B rank,
Mhm.
martial arts is C rank,
Mm.
D rank. They don't tell us which one this is. He just says, "Oh, this is D rank skill. The gods might be blind. The gods
That's
must
fair.
be
Yeah, I
blind."
remember him saying something like that, and they never like disclosed what it was.
Yeah. So D rank, I think it's honestly, I think it's people skills.
I don't know. It could be, it could be a multiple of things though, too, right? Like it also could be like he's naturally good with people too, though, right? Because like in his past life, it shows that he was good with people.
Yeah, but I mean, it's something that not everybody's good at. Not everybody's good
Yeah,
with
but
people. Not everybody's
in
good with
his
like
past
social
life as an
situations.
assassin, he is trained to adapt, right? Because remember, as assassin life, he was like a good cook. He was a chef. He was a bus driver. He was a delivery man. Like he was literally trained to adapt, and to be able to adapt, you have to be good with people,
What if it's like
right?
critical thinking skills?
Yeah, but he still has critical thinking, though. He's always had it. I don't know. I think it's something going to be way more intense than people skills. Because he's
True.
already had people skills, right? Like he has shown where all his past experience as his human life as an assassin, he was naturally good with people because he had to be, right? For someone to believe you're like a merchant, you have to be persuade as that rule as a merchant, right? For someone to believe you're a cook in his past human life, you had to be perceived as a cook, right? You had to be
Hmm.
like that person that would be like, "Oh yeah, you're a cook," right? Like, ah, right? Like, "Oh yeah, this is 100% like a cook." Instead of like someone that's acting weird, right? Like be like, "Oh, you're pretty weird to be a cook, right? Are you sure this is the right profession?" And be questioned, right?
Hmm.
So, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm looking online. It
He
doesn't.
also used people as an excuse too, though, right? The reason why he chose to be so nice to all the citizens is to build his reputation,
Which
right?
is
And to
why
be
I'm
the
thinking it might be people skills.
I get that, but I think that's just a natural skill too, though,
I
right?
don't think that's a natural skill. I mean, a lot of people might possess
He
it, but
Yeah,
to
but think
be
of
a
the
master of it,
brainwashing, right? Like think about the brainwashing that he did on Tart.
Well, that's not really a people
right?
skill. That's not
Yeah,
even
but that's a
actually a.
people skill because he has to know what to do and what to say for him to actually be able to do that. Because remember at the end of the episode, he's like brainwashing complete,
Yeah.
right? Like for him to actually be somewhat like naturally good as an assassin, he know has to know those skills of what to say and what to do.
What if it's just like something mundane like charisma?
I don't think so. I don't
Because
know. Maybe
that,
you're right. Maybe you're wrong. I think it might be something bigger for him to say like the gods are insane or whatever. I don't know.
yeah,
Well,
who
I guess we're
knows?
gonna have to wait to episode 2 to continue this topic.
Episode 2, season 2, season
Season
2.
2,
Gotcha,
sorry.
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. Out of overall though, what would you rate it? What would you say that you liked it or you didn't like about the anime?
I would rate it as an anime to watch, but I would still not rate it as like a good anime because of the age.
Well, I mean, it's an 18 plus type of anime.
I understand that, but like it's
I mean,
like
if you
so
didn't know, it looks like
in
the same author made Redo of a Healer, which Snow I don't recommend you watch. I honestly don't
no,
recommend
because
you
it's just
watch.
it's genuinely like the way that they pursued the anime and the way it was built was perfect, but the ages that they put on the characters was just so wrong. Like put them at like 15 or 16. Like at least put them in a little higher where they're like in their preteens at least for them to be doing this.
Well, I mean, they were 14, 15, or 14 and 16.
No, they were 14 and 12.
No, because he was
No,
cause
Luth is 12. The last season 12, he was 12 years old. He's 12
no,
years old. Yes,
he
he
was
is.
14. He was an adult. His dad said he was an
No, he's
adult.
not an adult. He was an adult because he was past the assassin test.
No, he was an adult. Uh, you're gonna have to rewatch it, aren't you?
I'm looking it up.
At the assassin test, yeah, he was 12.
No, he was 10.
At the assassin test?
Mhm.
Really? No.
Yeah.
I thought it was. Okay, well, fuck me.
No, he was 10 years old.
Well, I don't know. Let's see. Luke's. No, he was
Okay, he's
12 at the assassin test, and then after that, it was 2 years as a merchant.
no,
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe you. Tell me proof.
Yeah, because that's actually when I told you, don't all dads do this to their kids when they turn 12? Anyways, I liked it. The had some things that I didn't like about it, like the CG. God, it was terrible. It was horrible. The CG is always terrible in anime. Um, I don't like the obvious tropes that they have. Like, I'm sure I mentioned them before. I can't remember them all, but like the little kid being lost and oh no, where's your mommy, little kid? Yeah, it happens a lot, too way too often. Um, yeah, the ages could have been a lot better adjusted. Like the adult age could have been easily moved from 14 to 16 just because, you know, make it a little closer to 18 years old at the very least. I realize that a lot of people in that timeline might have died earlier in the, you know, a lot like in the Middle Ages in our history, where people had to be married early so that if they died early, it was they already had kids and their bloodline could live on. But I don't know. Um, I don't like the season was so short. That's also something I don't
I
like.
think the storyline was good. I just don't like the ages. That's the only really thing about me. Like it was just the ages were just that messed up for them to be doing what they were doing at that age. It's just like naturally like you're like
Yeah, no,
it went from
I
like a
agree with you
really
on that
good
one though.
anime. Like honestly, if they made it like I don't know, like 18 and 16 and made that timeline a little longer, right,
Yeah,
and made they could have made the episodes a little bit more developed, right? Instead of, like, rushing it as fast and far like, as fast as they did, like, "Oh, the war's this, and they have to save Dia at this time," right? They could have, like, spread it out a little time, a little bit more, and developed the characters less quicker, right? Like, they could have shown more of Tart's potential, more of Maha's, because they kinda, like, randomly showed Maha, like, like, a, like, crazy assassin.
yeah,
They didn't really
yeah.
show any training that happened with Maha. They kinda, like, just went like, "Oh, she's, like,
And then two
randomly
years
like,
happened.
I'm able to, like, freaking, like if a burger comes in, just assassinate them, no problem." Right? They didn't show any development between that, right? So they kinda, like, rushed it. So, like, if they spread out that timeline, so it's just, like, for example, like, Luth had to kill, like, the, potential hero when he was, like, 20, like, they spread it out by 2 years. Right, they could have, like, done, like, extra, like, 3 episodes of developing Tart, which they kinda did. Don't get me wrong, they did kinda show Tart's development, but they could have also shown Maha's development in, like, that extra episode or 2,
Yeah,
right? Like,
no,
just
I
casually,
agree
like,
with you on
show
that
it.
one.
They could
Yeah.
have also showed Dia's potential because they portrayed Dia as like, a powerful magician, right? And then
Yeah,
also that would
out of
explain
nowhere
the
they made it
ages too, right?
yeah, and then out of nowhere they completely downsized her to she's in trouble.
Like, yeah, so, like, they could have, like, done, like, a better job of that personally, because their ages of them, like, for example, like, as Chester looked up, like, as him being 14 and, like, having that romantic, like, intense relationship, and this is, like, supposed to be, like, an adult relationship. This is what the anime is portraying as an adult relationship, right? Of doing it is just, like, I don't know, it's just for him to be doing that at 14, that's it's 16, okay, that's a little bit more reasonable mentally, right? Like, you kind of be like, "Yeah, okay, it's a little far-fetched, but it's not as bad." But, like, 12 years old and then 10 to 12 to 14, that's what happened in this anime for age timeline, where they made it very clear of what ages he was at. It was just wrong, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The more you're talking, the more I'm agreeing with the whole age timeline because
Like
they make it seem like they're a little bit older, but when
yeah,
it
they
comes
make
out
it
to
seem like they're in the mid, like, 18s or something like
something that
that,
I
right?
yeah, and something that now that I think about it even just a little bit that I wish they would have hashed out a little bit more is the whole merchant stuff. Because that entire 2 years happened. What did he learn? He made moisturizer. Well, what else? Fuck me. Like,
Yeah, it was like they honestly rushed it. I feel like they could have this anime, honestly, I hope season 2 is good, but, like, if it is as rushed as season 1, I feel like it wouldn't be as potentially good as it could have been, right? Like, if the director I don't know if it was a pardon me, if it was a budget thing or whatever, but I genuinely feel if they were to push the goddess, say, if you're age of 21, right? Because 21 is, like, the adult age in most countries, right?
right.
Or something like that instead of 18, right? Then be like, okay, at the age of 21, you have to kill the hero by the age of 21, right? And then they could have developed more traits, right? Because
But
then it would have
see,
been
at
like, oh, you're sleeping in the same bed as like a cousin and all that. But like instead of doing it like that, they immediately turned it into like, at first they did that with Dia, but
okay,
then they
so
turned it into like a sexual thing.
yeah, no. I am disagreeing with you on the whole killing the hero by the time that you're 21. It at 18, it does give them a good amount of time to kind of
Yeah,
prepare, but it also gives them a little bit of crunch time. So basically lighting a fire under their ass.
Yeah,
Because a
but
lot
it's
of
also the
people
reason why I say that is to extend the timeline for them to develop the characters more, right?
they
Because 'Cause they're
could
developing so fast, so, like, to the point where like, yeah, these next couple of episodes are gonna come out, but it's probably gonna be 12 episodes, and then he's gonna be 18 and kill the character.
Both yes and no at the same time. Because I don't like that they ended up they started everything with an assassination, but then they left everything off as and now we won't even figure out how they get to there until season 2, whenever the hell that's going to be.
Yeah. I don't know. I my thing was just the age. It was just kind of yeah, that was the only complaint. If they just spent a little bit more time on developing like Maha. Like, yeah, they showed Maha as a great network intel. She was able to run a business and organize the girls quickly, right? Like
Yeah,
her like
the groove.
friends and all that really well and all that. But like if they showed how she was training and developing as an assassin, that would have been pretty cool, right? Because
I
like
would like to
she
know like
randomly showed
which.
up as like a badass assassin in like a quick like end of an episode, and then we never saw it again,
Yeah, true. We never actually see her skills. Like we don't
right?
know, is she good at hand-to-hand combat? Is she good with a spear? Is she good with a knife? Is she good with
Yeah, like they kind of did that with Tart, but not so much with Maha. They kind of like skipped over Maha.
Yeah, it'd be cool if out of nowhere they just said, "Okay, well, it's good to know that you're good with daggers."
Yeah,
We now
so
know she's good with daggers.
I feel
Nothing.
like the only way to fix that would be making a movie of like him and the merchant,
Oh,
where it makes like you know what I mean, like what they did with Naruto too, right? Like
oh,
in
but if that
spots where they
happens, if that happens,
missed.
there's gonna be so much filler. And let's be honest, this
I don't know.
the entire anime seems to be like one big filler for season
Fair.
2, which hopefully season 2 comes out with something good. Um, but right now it was good enough. Could have been better, but it was good enough as
What are
like an
your
attention
thoughts on the
grabber.
anime though?
On the anime itself, good. There's a lot of plot holes. Uh, I don't know. The character dynamic could have been a little bit better with hashing out how they got to where they are with Maha Tart. Um, they could have doled out the mom a little bit more because right now she just seems like a
A
doting person.
cringy mum.
Yeah, you say cringy. I think it's pretty hilarious. It's pretty.
Hey,
It's
it's
pretty funny.
100% hilarious, but I'm talking about on the boy view, it's cringy.
Yeah, yeah,
On the perspective view, it's actually adorable and really funny.
yeah. They
She's
could
like,
have.
"Oh, just love me," right? And
Yeah,
the boy's like, "Mom, get away from me."
that's something that I don't like. Is Lou is pretty monotone throughout the entire thing. Like, uh, there's no expression. There's no emotion. It's just
Well,
like,
that's shows that he's an assassin too,
no,
right? That
no.
he's portrayed.
True, there's that. But it'd be nice to get a little bit of a reaction from him more times than just one.
I think that Dia, like the fact that he's admitted that he loves Dia was quite a bit.
It was a good jump, but I don't know. Anybody that's overpowered either gets um they're portrayed as being extremely loud and they never shut the hell up, or they are the calm person that is super serious all the time.
Fair.
So I don't know. They could
Well, he's not always serious around the citizens and the people.
true no, but it's the same tone of voice in a lot of the scenes where it's like just be happy, you freaking idiot. Like you're getting a second shot and you get all this stuff going for you. True, okay, you were an assassin, you were taught to hide all that, but
Yeah, but the
you've had
mission
10,
is to
15 years
do
now.
kill the hero. The mission is to kill the hero and then be happy, because then he can have freedom.
How the fuck is he gonna be happy later on if he can't be happy leading up to it?
But that's not how he's trained, though. That's the whole thing about this anime.
Yeah, uh.
Well, I think we need to come back for part two when season two comes out, and we'll keep you posted, guys.
Yeah. What's the next anime that we're gonna be watching?
I think of it. I don't remember. Hold on.
I got it. I got it.
It's like
It's Orient. Oh, Jesus Christ. You chose one with a good name. I can't.
I'm sorry.
It's Orient. Sorry. Awajishima Gekito Hen.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Which
So we will start
translates
that,
to.
and
Let's
that
see
will
what that
be
translates to. Uh,
6 episodes will be reviewed on
Awaji
Friday.
Island Fierce Fighting Area. Oh, it's gonna be a uh, Shonen Jump
What
type
is
anime.
that?
It's like Dragon Ball Z-ish type.
Okay, so I picked a good one. Got it. Okay.
Either that or it's gonna be very stale very quickly. But we'll
Yeah,
see. We'll
so
see.
we'll figure it out.
We'll watch a couple episodes, come back, talk your guys' ear off. Um, but yeah.
Which will be on Friday
Oh
before
yeah,
Christmas.
Friday. Oh, that's true.
6 episodes are due before Friday or on
All right.
Friday.
Good enough. All right, but yeah, up until then, I have been Chester. This has been Snow.
Hi.
You guys have a great rest of the day or night or whatever time it is that you're listening to this. But hopefully, we'll see you guys next time. Good night.
Bye.